Hello and welcome to the Night Talk podcast. I'm your host, Lucius Knights, with Knight Rider Nightingale to the side.
Hi.
Hi.
We tried to record this 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Um,
It was like a
but
whole hour and a half.
yeah, all of it, none of it saved. So
It was super cool.
yeah, and I had to leave. I had to go give my mom her car back so we can pick up my cousin.
I took off my glasses because they the glare. But I can't see myself anymore. It's fine.
Yeah, well, at least your forehead isn't reflecting the light.
Just give you some matte tape on it. No.
But we had a whole discussion about what happened over the past 3 years, but we don't want to rehash that.
No, we remember. I remember everything that was said, and I can perform it for you all right now if you want.
Please.
Okay. So you were like, yeah, I was in the army, and I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. And then he was like, yeah, well, you should stop talking to everyone in the army. And then I said the same thing.
Stop it.
Did I do
Sure.
okay? Okay.
Yeah, it does suck.
Yeah.
I guess that's a quick synopsis. What else? We won't go over everything we talked about, but we have some notes here. You mentioned our top three favorite games, like video games or just games in general.
Video games. My first top game was Breath of the Wild, and then Tears of the Kingdom came out, and that is my favorite game I've ever played. Tears of the Kingdom just makes it's Breath of the Wild, just but better. Like it's the same, but it's very different. And I looked forward to playing that game every single day for the like 3 months I was playing it. I think the first play session was like my day off. The first play session was like 12 hours straight. But yeah, no, it's super creative, and the music and the story is great, and like they just improved on a lot of the mechanics in Breath of the Wild, and it's just it just has that, it gives you that feeling, that itch of like, oh, I haven't been over there yet, let me go that way. And then once you start walking that way, like there's so many things in between that you're like, oh well, I should go to a stable along the way and like talk to everyone there. Oh, everyone there has separate like side missions I can do. I might as well do that while I'm here. And oh, there's a Korok over there, I should do this. And so it all like compiles without it feeling like it's work. It's kind of just like just more things to do that feels good to do. And like not complaints, I guess complaints of with other similar open worlds would be like where it just gives you a side mission, and it's like just another list in a tier of like 20 side missions that you have to do, and it just tells you exactly where to go, and a description of it, and it feels like a laundry list to do, or just like a grocery list of work to do. But this one, it just feels nicer. And the thing I really like from Breath of the Wild, that's also obviously in Tears of the Kingdom, but just like accentuated, is you can go anywhere you want, anytime you want, and it's just up to the player. And so it's really interesting to play it and then maybe watch someone else play it, especially someone else you know, and because everyone approaches the game in a very different way. And I try to stay silent when I like watch Evie play it, because there's so many things that they do that I just would not do, but they also they just solve it in a very different way, and it's amazing. Like the game wants you to kind of cheat its own system, and it promotes that, especially with the abilities that it gives you. Like the Ascension ability, that's the most like game cheating ability, I feel like, where it's just any ceiling you can just go, you can just go straight through it and then go to whatever's on top. And also the fuse mechanic where, or what's it called? The powered hands. It's been so long. You know what it's called?
Hand.
The hands. The hand ability. Where you
It's fuse essentially.
create, you can create whatever you want from anything in the world. So if you have like two logs, you can grab one, put them right next to another log, and then
Longer wall?
make a longer log. The one of the first things I did was make the biggest stick I could, and just across like this gap in like a canyon, and it was like 7 trees that are all like 12 feet long, and you can connect them end to end to end, and like the mechanics of it, it has like its own physics, and so when you like hold on to one end of the stick, you can see the rest just kind of flopping. There is a limit, but it just gives you that extra reason to kind of cheat the system, because I made that stick so I wouldn't have to do the side mission to just cross it the way the game wanted me to.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just like, yeah, as long as you get there, that's all it is. So I just love the freedom of that.
So we have Breath of the Wild.
Hmm.
What was the second game you mentioned?
I didn't mention. Well, I guess it's still my first game. Is Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom.
I'll just kind of lump them together in my
Okay.
favorite game, and then we can just take turns and then just go to the second game, each in different rounds.
There's a Breath of the Wild poster over
There is a Breath of the Wild poster over there that this guy got for me.
there. Yeah.
It's very cool.
Early
Very
B-Day
neat.
kids. 'Cause
Yeah.
I will not be here. In Austin.
I had to specify that.
I don't know if I have like, I guess the Halo trilogy was like my favorite game.
Mm-hmm.
Games. First time I played Halo, the first one, I think Austin lent it to me. This was middle school. I think 6th or 7th grade, I don't remember. Around that time. And I played the fuck out of that game. I played it a lot. And then I never played Halo 2, but I played Halo 3. And well, I didn't play Halo 2 when it came out. I played Halo 3 when it came out, and then later on, I played Halo 2. I'll say the story in Halo 2, at least the Arbiter's story, like seeing what he went through, was more interesting than Halo 3. He goes through a whole character arc. Chief doesn't really do that. He's kind of just the same.
Yeah.
Just
Insert main character.
yeah. He makes cool, smart remarks. He shoots the alien, and stuff goes boom.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really change. But the Arbiter goes from a religious zealot that had failed the High Prophets to learning that their genocidal religion was all based on a lie, that there is no great journey. And they're just a suicide cult. They just don't know they're a suicide cult.
Yeah. Well, only I guess select few do, but yeah, I didn't even realize that was the story until like much later. So I never really played it either.
Yeah. So then him going against, pretty much having the elites go against the Covenants, and then them siding with the humans, but a very like shaky alliance with the humans. And it was really interesting. That was one of my first, like I guess, experiences in video games. The first video game I ever played was Mario on Game Boy. And then I had a PSP, didn't really have a lot of games for it.
Do you know which Mario game?
I don't remember. It was when I was a child. I was like 8. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
But I will say out of new games that I've really enjoyed, Horizon Forbidden West was really good. Am I right that you played that?
I haven't played it. No. It's only on PlayStation 5, right?
No, it's not. I don't know if it's just PlayStation 5. I'm pretty sure. No, because I'm pretty sure I played it on my PS4.
Okay.
I played
Yeah.
a little bit of Zero Dawn.
So I liked both games. I never beat Zero Dawn. But I will say one thing that is super annoying is the dialogue. So there are dialogue wheels, and instead of turning it into a cutscene, you just
Clumsy.
have to listen to them talk to each other for like 15 minutes. These are long dialogues where they just talk to each other.
Yeah, and like the camera never like changes. It's just going back and forth.
Yeah.
Like it's not like dynamic.
I will say Forbidden West made it like the interaction between the characters better, because in Zero Dawn, the characters would move and it was very robotic, looked strange.
Yeah.
I can't recall.
It's like Uncanny Valley. because
Kind of,
it's,
yeah.
Like lifelike, but it's not.
It's a fun game. It was just strange, you know. But Forbidden West made that interaction look much better, and it was a really fun game to play. I mean, it's like somebody was just like, "Wouldn't it be cool if there was like dinosaurs, but they were robots?" And then made a story based around that, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really like how, like, the story is kind of low-key atheistic, if you think about it, because there are all these, like, very liberal, well, let me not say liberal, leftist, since it talks about how in Zero Dawn, what was it, like, these war machines that humanity created pretty much destroyed the world. And so shows like issues of war and capitalism, or unchecked capitalism, or just I guess capitalism in general, and how like these different sects have their own religion based around these robot dinosaurs, but she doesn't disrespect them based off of what they believe. She's like, I respect your belief and all that. But she's still kind of like, she herself knows the truth about how these robot dinosaurs were made, since this was what, like thousands of years in the future or something like that.
Yeah, and she was outcast from the village for the sake of her own birth. So
Yeah.
like I think when you're just an outcast, you already you have a different lens to look at the world from the people that you're supposedly supposed to share a community with. So world's just gonna look completely different, and I think you're just gonna be more open to different ideas.
Yeah. And she's also like, she wants peace. She's not afraid to murk a motherfucker. So that was. I also like how they did not force a love story. I loved that. It was because like, there's this one character that really likes her, but they don't force them together because there was no chemistry between them really.
My friend was really, really, really into this series, into the first game. So there's kind of, sort of something like, a kind of a queerness. It seems to.
She kind of seems asexual.
Aloy, to Aloy, because there was, well, asexual is part of the queer spectrum.
Oh, yeah.
But you don't necessarily, doesn't mean that you don't feel romantic feelings, just you don't feel sexual feelings. And that there's like chemistry between Aloy and another character, I think from like a more of a warring faction. I'm not really sure. She has dark hair, and they said that they just like, they feel like they like kind of flirt with each other. Like they just have like a really, really good chemistry. So like there's like an undercurrent of queerness.
Yeah.
In the game.
You know, it's. I guess like the appeal for a lot of people is robot dinosaurs, but underneath it is like atheism, queer spectrum, anti-capitalism, pro-environmentalism. Like once they play the story and actually, I guess, pay attention to it. Yeah. And they can't say.
Yeah, I do want to finish Horizon Zero Dawn, because I've started it and stopped it twice now. And I feel like I'll have to start it again from the beginning just so I can understand all of the context.
Forbidden West was much easier to play just because like they cleaned up a lot of the mechanics from the first one.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's a longer game. It didn't feel like it to me, and I did like a lot of the side missions. I mean, it is long. Don't get me wrong. It takes a while to beat it, but
Like long as like 40, 50 hours.
I don't remember. Just know a lot of the times, to be honest, because of the dialogue when they're talking to each other, you're on your phone, just kind of like doing whatever. Like you want to pay attention, but when it's just like 10 minutes of them just talking, you're like, oh, can we hear this? This could have been a cutscene, you know? They have like few cutscenes that are great because obviously, like, you know, modern video game graphics look amazing, but like they need to find a way to feed us the story without us having to sit. Because when you play a game, you want to play the game. You don't want to have to sit there and have
just have story thrown at you.
Yeah.
And you're like, just ingest it.
Obviously, there's going to have to be some dialogue. Obviously, like there's going to be, you can't just show a story all the time. There's going to be some telling, but don't make the tell 15 minutes long. And have players just sit there. And like there are times like you have to hit A to like continue on to the next part of the whatever. It's just like, it gets that part I really didn't like. You need to clean that up. I would say God of War, another great game. Does a great job of like the seamless flow from game to cutscene where you don't notice
exactly
the change, and then from cutscene to game.
It just moves the camera from over the shoulder to like past the shoulder into like, the rest of the view. Yeah,
and like obviously there's dialogue in it. They make the dialogue interesting and it doesn't overstay its welcome. Like in Horizon, which love the game.
It feels like a reward in Ragnarok and the God of War game too. Like just going through like a level and being like, okay, I'm back at my home base. What happens now?
Yeah.
And you see all the interactions between characters.
And I like how like with exploration there's stuff to find all over the map and stuff like that. And I like that they in God of War, again they're kind of sneaking in and all this leftist agenda. It's like care for your kid. I don't know how that's leftist agenda, but
yeah,
have a
like,
relationship with your children.
Yeah, that's super aggressive.
I'm sorry. You want me to say I love you to my child?
Yeah,
yeah. Show some emotion.
But he's
have respect.
Boy. He should earn my respect. No.
Yeah, you know, like in the second game, there's this YouTube channel that did talks about it better than I did. How it they challenge the idea of fates and how you're bound to a certain fate. They do a better job of explaining how the game really expands on that idea. If I find it, I'll post it.
Yeah.
But I really like that story. Like, you know, you're not bound to being like. If you guys don't know the story, Kratos.
Wait. Just sorry to interrupt. I haven't finished Ragnarok.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind. I'm more than halfway through.
I'll try not to spoil anything.
Okay.
He's basically, like the first God of War, like, you know, Kratos is in the Norse world now. He's interacting with the Norse gods, and he's trying to move past his life from the other God of War games, like the PlayStation 2 and 3 era. He's trying not to just solve everything by screaming and punching it. He still solves a lot of stuff by screaming and punching, but he's reluctant to do it now. So, progress.
Yeah, just progress.
And it's like it's an action game, so there has to be some violence involved, I guess.
Yeah, like there's a lot of character growth, I guess, within the first 3 games of himself, and then this game focuses on his own growth with having a son. And like you see the transition, because you see him as that like call me sir, like kind of father, but then he opens up later on.
Yeah, he gives his child a hug.
Yeah,
you know,
and calls him by his first name, not boy.
Yes. Actually, I don't really notice that, but yeah, he does do that, which is really cool. And he also like helps. Have you encountered Thor yet?
Yeah.
Or he helps
Well,
him out?
that's the first. Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, he helps out Thor
Mm.
to be a better father. But yeah, the last game I'll touch on is Spider-Man, the newer ones. The second one, I don't like how like they took away a lot of the gadgets from the first one. Kind of makes the fighting feel less dynamic. Because in the first game you had all these gadgets that you can use, or you can be as creative as you want to with how you like take down enemies. But it's still fun to swing around. Still a very fun game. I think they could have done better with some of the writing in the game. In the second one, I don't know if you care about spoilers, either of you.
I do. I do want to play it. So you can
Don't
talk
talk
about the
about it.
first spoiler game.
Okay, I'll just say like the way Craven is defeated, I think they could have really harped on his issues more with his defeats instead of just him just being defeated the way he's defeated. But yeah, still a fun game. Highly recommend. Love. I think one of the biggest issues I had is trying to figure out which Spidey suit I want to use
Mhm.
when swinging around, because a lot of them just look cool. You can't really like just pick one.
I do. I do like how like you can change. You can pick a suit and then change the colors of it too.
Mhm.
And it's pretty neat.
Yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Hell yeah. So what? You said
Board games.
Spider-Man. Yeah, Spider-Man. God of War.
Horizon and Halo.
Horizon, yeah.
I guess it's more serious, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, Halo's is. I wouldn't. I guess you can pick like your favorite Halo game, but like you kind of have to include it all, just in general. You can have your favorite and your least favorite, but it's all one encompassing thing. Evie.
I like Skyrim.
Why? Tell us.
I really enjoy the storyline. I really like high fantasy, so it's just not feel at home playing Starfield. I did do two really major storylines all the way to the end.
In Starfield.
In Starfield, to like get a good like idea on it. One of them had to do with the mantis. That one was pretty cool. I liked it. The reward was pretty cool. And then another one was I don't know, the military, I guess.
The Mantis was the one with the creature. Right?
Mantis is the name of a legendary I don't know, spacer, I guess. I don't know. I can't remember what they're called.
Yeah.
And then the military one. That one had to do with with a creature. That I think that's what you saw me fighting. That was the military one. The one that like would go kind of invisible
Mhm.
a lot, and then like
I just remember you freaking out.
voices.
Yeah.
It was really hard, and I think they give you like a robot during that, and my robot and my buddies just kept like failing me, and so it's just me jumping around, running around, freaking out, trying to shoot from very, very, very far. And it was easier towards like the end. Like the big one was kind of easy, but because it was glitchy, because I just hid in like inside a box. What are they called? Kind of like a storage.
Bunker?
Yeah, a bunker. You know, like it had like intercoms and computers in it. But the thing that you fight is so fucking massive that if you just shoot it through the doorway, what's it gonna do? It can't get in. It should be destroying the little building that I'm in, but it's not. It was glitching its ass through it though, and then I shot its ass, and it died. So it was that was a little bit anticlimactic, but whatever.
Yeah.
But that's not Skyrim. Anyway,
Working
so
as
just to say
intended.
that I did try very hard with the Starfield one. I did go at it. Just didn't have fun.
What's Starfield?
It's a space game that Bethesda did. It's alright.
It came out kind of recently.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 months ago now.
Oh,
I
that was very
definitely,
recent.
yeah, I definitely enjoy watching people fuck around in it.
Yeah.
There's a YouTuber I watch that just does the Bethesda games right now, I think, called Best Guess, and very, very hilarious builds, kind of akin to like Spiffing Brit a little bit. If you've heard of that guy. Just really, really funny. But yeah, I really like the storyline in Skyrim. I'm really big on lore. I really like learning about the backgrounds of the characters that aren't in the forefront. So things that you glean from like reading the books or from having played the other games. Skyrim's my first Bethesda game. So I didn't play Oblivion, I didn't play Morrowind, I didn't play any of the other ones, Daggerfall, anything.
Mm.
So I gleaned a lot of like my knowledge from like dialogue with the characters and from reading some of the books and even from just watching like analysis videos online. I'm really interested in like the magic or the religion aspect, even the political aspect and the racial aspect of all the different characters. Like that's really, really interesting to me.
Well, it has that replayability too, because you can join certain guilds and you can't join certain things after you join that guild. And so, like, you want to start over again just to be like, hey, I can go this route. It became that too.
No, you've never played Skyrim. You wouldn't know.
No? Is that not how it works?
There's only one guild that you can't join if you make a specific decision, which is the Dark Brotherhood, and the only decision is whether you kill the leader of the Dark Brotherhood, but you still it's still a decision to do a part of it, which is like the assassination of a I don't know what she's called. I guess a caregiver in an orphanage, which leads to the Dark Brotherhood questline. But you can choose to do the Dark Brotherhood questline, which is very interesting, or you can choose to do the Destroy Dark Brotherhood questline, which is just cutting it off right at the beginning of the quest. That's the only one. You're not barred from joining any other guild. You can do all of them. You can be the master of everything.
Then what's your motivation for like the restarting the game and doing new
Conquest.
characters? Okay.
I don't know. I guess the perfect character, the perfect build, the perfect life. It's a role playing game, so
Yeah.
I make a story for my character. I role play in the role plays. I don't know how people just are very passive in RPGs.
Mm-hmm.
They just kind of like let the story wash over them. It's like, no, get into it. Think of it. Like, how would your character do this? Or or characters that aren't your character, like Cloud, for example, in Final Fantasy. He's not your character. He's not your build. He has a very specific personality. He has a very specific ideology. He has morals. He has values. So you don't really get to make those choices for him. But just let yourself instead become him. And that's role playing versus ones where you create a character. Well, you think, ooh, what is the backstory of my character? What do I think? And you can make your decisions based on that, because you are given dialogue choices to decide what was your character doing. Like, how did your character grow up? Like when you talk to characters like Serana from the Dawnguard DLC, she discusses her family life and how she grew up, and then she asks you how about you, and you can say I have a great relationship with my parents. I can't wait to see them again. Or I grew up alone. Or it's better that, like, you know, I'm distant from my family. You have all these options, and it just suits your play. Like, think of that. Create a story for your character.
Yeah.
Is your character ever going to do two-handed? Maybe it doesn't make sense because your character is more of a mage and a dagger kind of character. You know, are they into archery? No, probably not. Or maybe, yeah, you know, there's just so many things that will, like, decide how your character fights to their alignment to, like, their moral alignment, too. Which is, like, so, like, the Dark Brotherhood's a pretty big, like, moral alignment kind of thing. Like, is assassinations okay for money or nah? Which you could say, like, does it really make so much of a difference when the game is inherently, like, violent? And it's during a civil war, and it's like, well, yeah, that's when you have characters that are, like, paladin builds, that are, like, absolutely not, would never join the Dark Brotherhood, or would ignore the Thieves Guild. I've noticed that some people would say, like, they wish that for the Thieves Guild that you could, for people that are like, I hate having quests, like just like, do this quest, like in your miscellaneous or whatever, like I really like that, I don't know, I hate it, I have to finish everything on my fucking tasks book or whatever, so I've noticed that people would say like, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense when my like morally, like my lawfully good character walks into Riften, and then they get propositioned by one of the main characters of the Thieves Guild storyline, and now it's just like, oh, talk to Brynelf about this, and it's like, but I don't want to. So then you're like kind of like stuck with that in your logbook forever. So like that's kind of annoying, but that's where mods come in.
Yeah. Well, the way you're describing it, it sounds like D&D. Like, but I know it's not. Dungeons and
I'm sure
Dragons,
that
but, like,
was. I mean, it's high fantasy.
having
Sure, I'm sure that was like
character
partially in their mind when they were creating like the entire Elder Scrolls series.
Yeah, yeah. To give like a soft introduction maybe to like a D&D system, but not quite.
But I don't have to roll any dice,
Yeah,
and I
it's
don't
up to
have to
you.
wait for turns, so that's really nice. I can just kick ass and get my ass kicked, and that's what I'm here for.
That's what. The
I'm not
world's
into
all about.
turn-based combat. The only turn-based combat I'll do is Pokemon.
Fair.
Again.
I really feel like I should play the Elder Scrolls. I don't know why, because I know when Skyrim came out, it seemed like everybody was just obsessed with it, and I wasn't raised on it. I honestly only heard about the Elder Scrolls when Skyrim
Yeah,
came out, like
that was
30s.
2011.
Me
Yeah.
too, yeah.
And like I didn't know it was gonna be this huge thing.
I watched a YouTuber play it, and I was like, I never knew a game could be like this. This is what I want to be, because I'm used to, like, I think Skyrim might have been my first open world game. Because up until then, you know, I'm playing like linear games like Tomb Raider and Assassin's Creed, Portal, games like,
Assassin's Creed linear?
yeah,
It's linear in story, but I think it's kind of open
like the
worlds.
original,
Two,
like
not Brotherhood.
2, Brotherhood and Revelations. I think they're fairly linear. There's not like too many choices. Ezio goes through this sequence of events that like they don't come in and out of order. He's going to do them.
Fair.
It
You
is
are
linear.
reliving his life.
The only choices that you kind of make is, well, like for Brotherhood, like how, like, are you going to create a brotherhood, which you do have to, and if you're if you want to do like 100% synchronization, which is just like completionist completing the game, then yeah, you're gonna do things like how Ezio did. You don't have a full choice. You can't just turn around and start killing civilians. You get desynchronized if you do
Sure,
that.
yeah.
So yeah, it's a linear game.
You know who Ezio definitely killed? Pickpockets and that fucking dude that runs around.
Tattletale?
Yeah, the Tattletale.
I don't know what they're
Because you can
called.
kill him, and it
Mhm.
doesn't say that Ezio never killed this person or
Mhm.
whatever. It just gives you the high
Definitely.
notoriety. Um, yeah, I can go into my second game.
Sure.
I'm between a lot of games, but I think Outer Wilds is probably like my second top game, just for what it made me, how it made me feel. Have you heard of Outer Wilds?
Sounds familiar.
It's
It's an indie game.
It's unfortunate because there's another game that's similar to Fallout, a different publisher and developer, but called Outer Worlds that came out at the same time as Outer Wilds. And Outer Wilds is made by an indie developer, by like I don't know how many people, but not a lot of people. But the premise of the game is you're a astronaut in training, like you wake up and you're at a campfire and you are just in this like little tiny world where you can go through this village and like you kind of learn the lore of like, oh, we had these old astronauts go explore the solar system and they're part of this, I forgot what they're called, but like they're part of this like ranger thing, and you go through each part of the village and like kind of learn the game mechanics of it, of like you can fly a drone in the game, and it's like kind of teaching you how to fly your spaceship later on, or there's a certain point where you go to the core of your planet that you're on, and there's zero G there, and you put on a zero G suit, and like you learn how to navigate and how to align yourself with the rotation of certain moving objects, and just teaching you that the game mechanic of that. And it was kind of like boring at first, and I was like, I'll just get through this, and because I know it was like teaching me. And then there's like a museum observatory where it shows you all these different things, where there's this rock that constantly moves every time you look away from it. It's in a different position. There's these gemstones that are gravity gemstones that you can just walk on a wall if it's near you, and then walk back on whatever gravity of planet you're on, and a bunch of stuff like that. And then it gets the game going, where it's like, all right, here's the code for the spaceship, go explore. And when I was in my spaceship and I launched, my heart immediately, like my stomach immediately like just dropped, where I was like, I can, where am I going? Like, what's happening? And like I look, and you can see the planets in the solar system and like the moon of your planet. So I was like, okay, well, I'll go there first, and then I fly there, and it's very big, but it's very small, the whole solar system. So I kind of overestimated how big it was, and I crashed into the moon. I didn't die, but I crashed. But my spaceship was completely like ruined, and I was like, okay, well, I'll explore the moon, and
I'm here.
yeah, I'm here, and I forget to put on my spacesuit, and then I'm like, you hear your character going, gasping for air, and I'm like, okay, get back in the ship, get back in the ship, and I put my spacesuit on and explore, and there's like two things there. There's one person living on the moon, and then there's this mysterious like ancient civilization type of architecture, and yeah, and so the whole purpose of you going to space is to learn about the old civilization that used to live in the solar system, because now you have a translator, so you can translate their old writings. And so when I translated all the writings, and I was like, okay, this is really weird, I'll do whatever. And then I was like, well, I can't like leave the moon because my spaceship is ruined, so I'll just keep walking around. and um, I don't know if I should spoil this, but
No.
after a certain amount of time, spoilers if you care, it's all about the experience of it, but it doesn't tell you this at all, the game. Um, Suddenly there was like this loud like boom, and then like this like implosion sound, or it was like this really deep like subwoofer sound, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Why is the music's ramping up, and I look
Why do
around.
I hear boss music?
Yeah, I look around, and then I where the sun should be, there is no sun, and then it just starts to explode into like this blue fiery ball, and I'm like, okay, is that supposed to happen? I'll I'll just run away, and or like look for cover, and it just gets on you so fast, and you die.
So the sun goes supernova.
The sun goes supernova, and then you die, and then you wake up again where you were in the very beginning of the game.
That is wild.
Um,
Or so there's no way to stop that?
I don't know what else. And so the game is very smart because it puts the spaceship very close to where you start your journey, but you already know the passcode as your character, so you can just go straight into the
The
spaceship.
dialogue changes too.
The dialogue changes.
You can
every single time.
acknowledge what happened.
Yeah.
Talking with like your companions.
So like, you know that the sun exploded.
Yeah, your character knows, and like you tell like the person next to you at the campfire, like, I think I just died, and they're like, oh, you've been getting into some weird stuff, man, or like just kind of belittling like your experience.
I mean, yeah, somebody was just woke up and they're like, pretty sure that was a dream, bro.
Yeah, yeah. And so that was like my first cycle experience, and as you play the game and explore like the four or five planets, you learn about this ancient civilization and how the mechanics of each planet is so different, and every cycle that you go through, the mechanics of each planet changes a little bit. So to give an example, there's a planet called Brittle Hollow, where the planet has a black hole in the center of it, and each chunk of the planet is being fed into the black hole. But every single cycle, different chunks are taken. So you may not be able to explore a certain part of the planet this round, but if you die and start again and go back to the planet, that chunk will still be there. So you have to, it's all about the replayability and exploring and learning about this ancient civilization and how the whole goal is to figure out how to stop the sun from becoming supernova. And it's super rad, it's super cool, and there's a lot of like things that just gave me like this like impending doom, or just like, wow, that can happen, kind of feeling. And I love that game, and I kind of want to replay it again as I'm talking about it, because it's been like a year or two. No, it's been like a year. I want to play it again. It's really
Sounds
good.
interesting.
You should play it. It's like $20-$30. And
Sun goes supernova. Yeah, I can imagine your first time playing it, you're just like, what the fuck is that?
yeah, yeah, and I remember I had Diego play it because I had it downloaded, and we were just like taking turns. Like, he told me I should play a game. I was like, hey, you should play this game, and then he played it, and he like got through the beginning, and before even the first cycle ended, he got accidentally to like one of the last places that you're supposed to find in the game. And I love that, I guess, because he just stumbled upon it, even though it took me forever to figure out how to get there. He just did it.
A way to beat the game.
Yeah. Like he got there, and then like the music like was super intense, and like the room itself looks intense, like end of game looking, and he just says, "Am I supposed to be?" I'm like, well, you're here,
Yeah.
so I guess so. But like, it's all about like knowing the story, and like you understand the gravity of the place that he's at, and so I was like, you should go other places first.
I like that about game, like that there are games where you can't beat it in like the first 5 minutes, and they won't stop you from doing that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That designers will let you do stuff like that.
Mhm. As you can tell, I'm very into freedom and open worldness, and it's very minimalist too. Again, going back to the having a laundry list of side missions with each having their own like whole backstory, and it just seems like way too much. This it can be confusing because you're trying to like navigate the story that you're uncovering by exploring different places. But there is like this story map that allows you to be like, okay, well, your character knows all about this in this place, that they're alluding to this other place, but you have to get there doing a certain thing. So it's rewarding because you're telling yourself this story and making it your own. Yeah, play it. Play.
Do you have a second game?
Second game.
I probably don't have a top 3. I probably kind of have like a top, I don't know, I guess video games that like mean a lot to me. So maybe like I have like a top 10 more
Yeah.
than a top 3, honestly, because like that's, I guess I don't really do like favorites or like top anything, honestly, because that's really difficult, and that changes with me as like I grow up and I get older. Like for a while, Portal 2 was like way up there. I was very, very, very into Portal 2. Alice Madness Returns, very, very, very into Alice. American McGee's Alice and Alice Madness Returns. Those games like left a really big impression on me. Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, those left like really, really, like really big impressions. I think one of the ones that may have like made a like kind of like a change me sort of way, not change me, but like it's gonna stay with me forever, like so much so that like I want like a tattoo of this, maybe Undertale.
Yeah, I was considering Undertale as well.
Like it's such a simple on the surface looking game. It looks like a cute little retro style game, little retro RPG. But the storyline is like what really makes it very different. And honestly, so does the music too. The music is extremely gripping.
The music is what brings me back to it. You know?
There's a couple of motifs. If you're like really, really into music, you're gonna hear very specific motifs repeated, and you're gonna see everybody has most main characters have a theme, and you're gonna see that a particular motif being played in other people's themes, if you will, and you'll see how they're connected in a way. Like you're gonna go, oh, I wonder how that person is connected to that person, because if you're hearing the music is connecting them in some like way or some manner. So like yeah, if you're really, really into music, Undertale is such a beautiful game. It's not too difficult in its mechanics. It's really, really fun. The first time that we watched Tomas and I didn't play Undertale the first time. We watched somebody play Undertale the first time. It was on what was it, Steam Train? Steam Train, which is like a I guess a side project adjacent to like Game Grumps or whatever, but with 2 different hosts. And like we were so into it, and it was just like so fun to come back every, I don't know, couple of days, every day, every week. I don't know when, I can't remember when they
It was like
uploaded.
every other day.
It was, yeah, like every other day when it was like, oh, it's time,
Yeah.
let's see what's gonna happen, how's the story gonna unfold, and there's stuff that they didn't like get to or didn't do, and there's different routes that you can take, that like I've been able to take because I like played the game differently.
Yeah.
But
They luckily had one person who was playing it who hadn't played it before, and then
who
one person
was the player
who did play it.
who
but
was
just
like kind
watching.
of gently suggesting,
Yeah.
like maybe we can go and do this, or like just like a gentle push to say like to help get the full scope of the game. And I don't know, it was like kind of like, it was just a time, it was the time period that I was in. I think it was like 2016 or something, and like obviously it made a really, really big impact on like hundreds of thousands, millions of people.
Millions.
Millions, yeah, like millions of
It's
people.
on every single platform now.
It's on every single platform. It's I didn't really get a chance to play the sequel, Deltarune. Okay. I only played, I think, like a little bit of the first episode.
Yeah, we need to play that.
We need to play that one. But it's a game that's like really, really, really changed me.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting kind of emotional thinking about it. I'm like, don't get emotional.
And like the characters themselves with their own music and motifs, it has that extra, I don't know, yearning of like I want this person to be okay.
Yes. There's a meme that I saw where it was the icon on someone's computer, and instead of it like, you know, the icon and then the name Undertale under it, they typed in like, don't touch, everyone's happy. Because it's a game because it discusses, it makes you think or consider the consequences in games, and how people just view games as games instead of considering them as people. So you get kind of like a meta, there's a meta feeling to it. I think to get the full scope of the game, do you want to play it on computer because of like a particular thing that happens?
I do have it on. I beat it on the computer.
I beat it on the computer too.
Yeah. But I only did one route of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's on my computer.
It's about morals and ethics,
Yeah.
and there's different ways to go to get to beat the game, and if you beat the game in a certain way, there's characters that will know that you are replaying the game, then you're doing it just to please yourself rather than for the betterment of the characters in the game. So it's like if you were playing like a Walking Dead game and you're like, oh, I'm gonna be as nice as possible, be whatever, and then like,
what if I do this route?
what if I do this route, and like where I'm just like super mean, I kill everyone. It's taking
about consequences.
that and pointing the finger back at you, like, why are you doing this?
We know you did this.
We know you did this. You just want to see us suffer in a different way. Like, it's very meta in that way.
I can't remember who said it, but they said that the game, I think it was probably not Pat, but he said like this is a game that teaches you empathy. For those, so like that's like, which is a really important life skill to have, I think.
Well, you know what I felt bad about, or felt bad that an NPC's telling them, hey,
Yeah.
stop that.
Yeah, essentially, like you're going to like have a very particular pool or emotion, and again, like I guess I kind of don't really personally understand people that like, oh, I just watch movies to watch movies, or I watch or I play video games to play video games, like, and that they don't get immersed in the story, and like when any writer of anything does their job good enough that the characters, for whatever, however much they're not real people, but they do it so much, they do their job so well that you feel such an attachment to them. My eye is twitching and it's really, really irritating. Sorry. And you feel such an attachment to them. I don't understand. I can't understand how people don't feel a particular way. That you're not swayed into feeling how the writer wanted you to feel about their character, about their world. Yeah, I guess like casual viewer or casual player, like I can't do that. I have no ability to do that. I get so immersed in it. And that's what I enjoy about video games, because I view video games as sort of a playable book, or like playing with toys. It's really just playing with your toys, with your characters, with your dolls, your action figures, your whatever. It's just putting them on a screen and actually being able to see whatever you're visualizing inside of your head on a screen. That's all it is to me. That's how I view video games.
And it sounds like you're using more of your imagination to fill in the gaps in between.
Yeah.
Than some other video game players.
Yeah, so I guess in that way I see that, okay, we just don't, I guess I have an imagination.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do the work of that. And like, okay. I'm sure you get enjoyability in some other way, or you get it, and however you want it, whatever you wanted to take away, you took away from it. And then but I don't like feeling judged for what I take away from someone, like from something, how much I enjoyed a video game or a book, or well, it's not that serious to me. Well, it was serious to me. It meant a lot to me. We are two different people.
Yeah. And there's some games where like I'll play and I'm not really into the story because I just don't relate to it. I just don't find it that interesting. So I won't be as immersed in it. And there are other games where like Horizon Zero Dawn or Forbidden West, where it's like there are these themes that they're trying to teach you, and so you get really invested in the story, and like you want the character to succeed. Whenever I play a game where you can choose to be nice or mean, I always try to choose nice because I feel bad for being mean.
It doesn't feel good being mean to characters. Like, if I'm, like, Skyrim, if I'm going to play, like, an evil character, you kind of have to sit in that. You gotta sit in, like, how am I gonna play this?
Yeah.
Like, what am I gonna do? Well, I'm not gonna help people. I'm gonna choose evil options. In games like Dragon Age, I've done that. In like Dragon Age, those characters tend to not be finished because it's like, while I'm getting a different story or I'm seeing lines done a particular way that I hadn't seen before, and that's really interesting, it's just not fulfilling to me. Like the stories, the characters that get the characters that I created with like a morally good alignment or even a gray alignment, honestly, they will get finished, but typically not like the bad or the evil route, because it's just, it hurts. It feels really bad. Like, it's not what I want to do. Yeah. I just feel bad, especially when it's like, these are characters I like a lot. Like, I really like these characters, and being mean to them really, really hurts.
Yeah. Another one thing you touched on was music. Like, so many video games just have amazing music.
There's such like Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda. We were crying at literally every instance of Zelda's lullaby being played in its minuscule or in being incorporated in something larger in a bigger moment that's happening. Instant tears. We're just instantly
I'm kind of tearing up right now.
Yeah,
honestly, yeah.
It's beautiful music. If you want to see like how much music touched people in the newest Tears of the Kingdom, there is one particular song that I'm so glad that everyone has this feeling for this particular song in this particular moment, that we collectively as gamers had a very shared experience and a very shared like emotional experience. I'm getting teary thinking about it.
It's not even,
yeah, it's not even like
It's not even like a sad song.
It's
or
not a
anything,
sad
yeah.
song. It's this feeling
It's
of
nostalgia.
yeah.
Almost.
There's some nostalgia,
Yeah.
and for a game I didn't even play. I did not play Wind
Mhm.
Waker. I watched somebody play Wind Waker, and it is a really good game. And the song, I don't know, something about the Dragon Roost Island theme is, I don't know, it's so pretty, it's so beautiful to me, and it's one of the main themes of the Rito Village. When you get
It is the main thing.
it's the main theme of Rito Village in Breath of
Tears
the Wild
Kingdom.
and Tears of the Kingdom. It's just every area has its theme song. It's like the composer did such a beautiful, sweeping rendition of it, and it's echoed in the temples in Tears of the Kingdom. Each area, it echoes that, and it also creates. There's also a theme for particular characters, so that gets kind of incorporated into those areas too.
And the music is dynamic in those bosses.
Yes,
too.
it's very dynamic.
Right.
You can hear
There's like
it
3 levels.
changing
Yeah.
for every puzzle that I guess you do, that you everything that you fix or whatever it is that you're doing in that temple to progress your progression. It shows your progression and it lets you know. So that's like if we're gonna get into like the importance of music in a video game, it gives you a lot of information. You said earlier, like, why am I hearing boss music? That's an instant tell of like, ooh, you're in danger. You need to get you need to pay attention. You need to focus. You need to like something like really really heavy or crazy or important or dangerous is happening right now, and it does the music there. I think there's like been a study or a talk or whatever on how like video game music can help people feel pumped.
Oh, for sure.
Particular like video game music, because
For
like
sure.
there's just a mechanic of it that like gets to our brains that gives us a sense of adrenaline.
Yeah, well, like the piano part of the
Everybody-
Guardians
yes,
coming at
everyone-
you.
that was a really big meme.
Like if you hear that, you're like, oh, like immediately jumpy.
And when you watch YouTube videos or kind of any content, and you notice particular music or particular stings or whatever that they're adding into like a commentary video or something for comedy, where does it come from? It comes from a video game. There's the sound from like Among Us when you first enter the game. When you're entering not a lobby, but the game begins and you are the imposter. There's this noise, and people use that a lot in videos. People use the piano, the jazz piano for a Guardian. They use that when like, oh, something fucking crazy, I'm in danger is happening.
Yeah.
They use that. What other
the
ones?
puzzle solving from Legend of Zelda.
Yeah,
Yeah.
soundscapes. A lot of people will use like the eating sound from Minecraft, or the drinking water sound, or the ooh.
Did you guys see the video of H. Bomber Guy's video or the origin of that sound?
No.
It is wild. It's long but wild. Please watch it.
Okay.
H-bomb?
H. Bomber Guy.
Bomber guy. Okay.
It was interesting. I watched that. I think when I originally went to guitar, and yeah, it was just. You think, oh, it's just some guy that made the smooth sound.
Mhm.
There's more to it.
Okay.
There's like, oh, this guy lied about most of his career. This is interesting.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, music definitely plays a part in how people perceive media, especially video games. There's this one game I wanted to talk about called Abzu. Have you played it?
I want to though.
I've seen it. It's the one that's like all cell shady looking.
Kind of. It's a game where you swim underwater and you like swim with
Yeah.
different marine life.
Yeah.
I know
yeah.
that game came out around the same time as Subnautica, and I kind of associated the two as the same thing, but they're completely different games.
I have a lot of difficulty with games that have to do with underwater because of my thalassophobia.
Mm.
I think Abzu will be better for you though.
Okay. I
It's
think
very-
it is
it's
because it's a
very freeing.
cuter looking game, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Subnautica is a big giant fuck no, but even games like Assassin's Creed, when you have to go underwater in the newer games, when you go underwater, say like, oh, like the fucking Asian Ocean in Odyssey, and it's like, hey, go get something in the water, and I'm like, why? I hate doing this. I made Tomas like play a part where I'm like, hey, I have to get something in here. You do it. It's like I don't really like seeing ruins or ships underwater. I don't like the big nothingness being out of focus. Like you can't see anything from a certain distance. I don't like that. I don't like seeing giant things, giant objects, giant bodies.
Might not like Abzu. Well, there's ruins.
I have to
underneath the
see.
water.
I have to see what it looks like.
Yeah,
and
it's
depending-
not realistic.
Yeah, it
looking.
looks like a cartoon.
It's similar to
I can
Tears of the
probably-
Kingdom.
I can probably do it, but Tears of the Kingdom doesn't go underwater.
I'm saying like the
Oh, the
shading,
style, the style. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Um,
he fucking drowns. He can't swim.
But it's the music is so calming. I love listening to it just like on its own. And like whenever, I believe different animals have their own music,
That's cute.
which is like, it's just such a relaxing game.
Mm.
And the fact that there's pretty much no dialogue and just the music and you interacting with these animals and swimming, and it creates its own sensation. It's really beautiful to me. And with music that is very popular, music in Halo. Everybody knows Halo music from the very first one to like if you play it, it's gonna be recognizable. Hell, there's tons of memes
Memes.
of all these
The
boys
theme.
in like the restroom or whatever, and they're going, oh, because it's like I don't know, when you hear it, it gets you pumped up.
But it's through association that it gets you pumped up.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But even on its own, I would say like the way they're able to make it work.
I don't think that people would know or feel a particular way unless they only associate it with the memes in of itself.
I would say on its own, the music is
Yes, yes, it is good on its own.
good. Not that it needs the association.
Yeah.
Um,
But
obviously the
it's just
association
stronger
helps.
because of it. Yeah.
And like, you know, how,
The Oblivion NPC music, the harp. You probably you've seen the memes.
Okay.
It starts with a harp. It's like it's in a lot of like comedy, like a sketch that will be like in a video essay or a commentary video, when someone just starts talking and just saying like the fucking like weirdest, craziest shit, and you'll just hear like dun, dun, da, 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 or whatever, however the harp plays. Like you guys know it. You're like, I don't know it. I'm like, no, you know it. It's the Skyrim main theme that will.
yeah, everybody knows that. And like how in, so the game that brought up God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West, absolutely love the music in those games. God of War is very much, what's the word? Masculine?
Yeah. Well, more.
Because it's like,
I
it
didn't
has
watch
these
it enough
dudes.
to have an impression of either music.
So like in the God of
Played
War
enough.
music, like, you know, you have these deep chants, or like obviously it's a lot of bass, and it's meant to invoke like ancient warriors or whatever. Because it's about Norse mythology, and Forbidden West or Horizon in general, it's a female vocalist just, you know, going through these different melodies, and then like when I think it's a different female singer, and it's more, I want to say lilting, but it obviously music is meant to convey a different theme from each piece of media, and like without the music, I feel like you would lose a lot in the video game. Like the music just goes to enhance it that much more.
Yeah.
And-
Soundscapes in of themselves are just really important.
Well, we were talking about the game you're playing currently now, Coral Islands,
Mhm.
where it's.
They know. It's apparently supposed to have sound.
Okay. Well, it doesn't have a lot of music for certain events, which it feels like it should.
I
Because it's
just-
like,
yeah.
this is a competition, like, get to the end as fast as you can.
It's a bug.
Silence.
It's a bug.
Okay.
I just went on the Discord last night and they know.
Okay.
I think the patch has gone through, but it has to go through the okaying and then it can be like released.
Yeah.
No, they know. They
Um,
know. It's a very unfinished game. Everyone is complaining about it.
I also wanted to
Glitches
talk.
galore.
I also wanted to talk about Ocarina of Time music, because
And that's your third game.
that's I don't know what my third game is. I'm approaching it the same way you were describing your favorite games, which are like what games stands out the most, at least to me right now. Ocarina of Time is like holds this very, very dear place in my heart, because it's like what I associate with my older cousins
Childhood.
who were who were that was the first game I played with them that I was really into, and I was just amazed and terrified to play it as a kid, because I just didn't want to die in it. I didn't want to mess it up in some kind of way. But when I finally got around to playing it for myself, like, it was so fun and freeing. For the same reasons I talked about in Tears of the Kingdom and Outer Wilds, but it is a very linear game, but at the time it just felt like you could do anything. And I really was, like, as a kid, using that game as a toy, where with NPCs that barely talk to you, I was pretending there was this whole, like, storyline of dialogue happening between Link and someone else happening, or like I would just pretend to go across a bridge and be like, no, my love, I can't reach you, or whatever. I was like, random shit like that. And then I would eventually play the game at some point. But
I would say you were.
I was,
Just
yeah,
not the
as
way it
intended.
worked, yeah.
But so Ocarina of Time is maybe my third, but I have another game that I was going to talk about. But
Okay.
before that, the music in Ocarina of Time, that's the first game, video game music that I got the CD, I put that CD in my Sony whatever Walkman non-slip disc DVD CD player, and I would play that whole original soundtrack on repeat all the time. And it's really cool because that OST would have the music play kind of in order of the game itself.
Mhm.
So I would imagine being like, okay, you're just starting, okay, that's the first temple. Okay, now you're out in the Hyrule Field. Okay, now you're going to the cavern near Death Mountain, and like I would just visualize and hyperfixate on all of that. And I recently learned a little bit about how that music was made with Koji Kondo, the composer for it. He had a challenge for that game because there's a mechanic where you play an ocarina and you only have access to 5 notes. And so his challenge was to create almost a whole soundtrack off of the bass melody only being those 5 notes. And so he had to just really, instead of doing everything more exemplified like he normally does, he had to really simplify his core melodies. And I think because of that, that's why it really, really stands out, because he had to make those 5 notes sound so different per song. And I really admire that.
That doesn't sound easy.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
And of course, like, for every ocarina song you play, like Zelda's Lullaby, it's the first 3 notes that you play on repeat, and then it goes off into the rest of the melody, and then so he kind of like fixed it with that, where you have the da 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 da, and then the rest of the song plays on its own without the 5
Mhm.
notes constraints. So he would just use that as the beginning, and then go from there, and to fill up the rest of the song. But I think my third game right now is The Last of Us, because it's such a powerful story, and it kind of sticks out as an outlier for me, especially where it's like that's the most like linear story, video game.
That series gave me trauma.
Yeah, but it didn't give me trauma. It just made me really upset, and it really made me really invested, because it's such a great story. You
It
played
really
it,
is,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
I played
Yeah, I had a
it.
panic attack at the finale of the second one. You saw, and you're like, "What do I do? What do I do?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I really don't
Yeah.
know."
I don't want to talk about the second game. I do I do enjoy the second game, but I kind of don't. I don't like the story aspect as much as the first game.
I feel like the entirety of just The Last of Us, the taking them both in as a whole, they're very very important, but they're kind of like what I told you about like how I feel about Mockingjay, how after like the middle of the book I can't continue because the rest of it just makes me feel so sick.
Yeah.
That's how The Last of Us as a series makes me feel. It's very good. It's important. The story is tremendous. It's a crazy story. It just makes me feel like I said I have trauma. It gave me trauma.
Yeah. Well,
It makes me feel sick.
it's about love.
Yeah.
Like it's about how love can take everything away from you and also give it all back.
Yeah,
all at the
they
same
said that
time.
the first game was about redemption and love, and the second game is about love and revenge.
Mm-hmm.
I never played the second game. I only played the first game. The second game where, forget the female
Ellie.
Ellie, thank you. Is that where she meets the girl that she likes, or is that a DLC?
That's a DLC of the first game,
Okay.
but there was a prequel DLC.
Yeah, it was just to discuss her sexuality, and it's also a point in the second one too.
Okay. What is the second one?
Let me talk about the first one
Okay.
first. Because the second one is something else, and it's hard to talk about it without spoiling. Cause
Yeah, you really can't discuss that one because a main plot point is at the very beginning.
it's the main reason for the game.
That's a spoiler though.
But the first one, yeah, like the story is amazing. It's paced so well, that it doesn't really, even when there's a cutscene or whatever, like it feels like it's a reward when sometimes cutscenes feel like a chore, because it's such a cinematographic movie. No,
Game.
game.
Yeah.
And just even the small interactions between Joel and Ellie, like you're really invested in that pairing, that relationship, because you just want Joel to heal, and you want Ellie to feel comfortable, and that happens. But then for Joel to really show his true love for Ellie, he has to commit a horrible act for what he thinks would be is for Ellie, but it's actually a selfish act for himself.
Yes.
And that he knows that if Ellie had the choice at the end of the game whether to die for humanity or to live for herself, she would have chosen to die.
Yeah, and it was her choice. That it's very specifically a plot point that another major character says that it was her decision.
Yeah.
This is what she chose.
Yeah. And so that strain and that dynamic is such it's so powerful at the end. And then it obviously seeps into the second game, and then we can kind of talk about the second game.
It's effectively the consequences of your actions.
Yeah.
That's what the second game is. It's about consequences.
Yeah.
A lot of it consequences are a main theme.
Well, yeah, in
What
even
you-
the first game too, because
Yeah.
like you're going through Pittsburgh and the people there follow you into the Colorado College, and they're the ones that get Joel to fall and get himself stabbed in the gut, and then from there, I think it's also this. I think it's still the same group that takes Ellie while Joel is recovering, and Ellie has to.
They're also the
Fight.
cannibals?
Maybe, I'm not sure. And I know I have it skewed with the TV show that I kind of recently
Oh,
finished.
okay.
Yeah.
They're different. That's a different group for sure. The TV show, but I did enjoy the TV show a lot too. Like it's different, but it's the same. And
Pretty much.
I didn't
I-
see it.
I know you didn't want to see it.
I just wasn't really interested.
It was like I enjoyed it because it gave the original creators like an ability to like tweak their story without ruining the story.
It's pretty much the same thing, just
Yeah.
shorts.
I just felt like I didn't see the point when I watched a full, more than feature length film. I played,
Very
or,
much.
or I watched
Yeah.
somebody
Well-
play a full feature length. I was there. I had the emotions.
It would be-
I went through everything.
It would be different if the game came out and then there was a show a year later, but there was like a 10-year span between.
Mhm.
So like it's nice to revisit it if you haven't played it in 5+ years.
It's still pretty much the same thing, though.
Yes.
I do kind of have a bit of a thing where, for me, I'm like, don't diverge from the original form of whatever it is. I don't know why. I don't really like it. It's like you literally already have
Well, they didn't.
a
though.
I know.
They- oh.
You
oh.
said there was tweaking,
Yeah.
and there was like this or that or whatever. So like I don't really have an interest. And if it's just the same thing, it's like, but I already watched the movie because it's so realistic and it's so cinematographic. I don't have to do that again.
That's fair. I myself, I didn't finish the show. It's still good. If you guys want to watch it, 100%.
I feel like it
recommend
was
it.
just for people that didn't really play the game and are kind of interested in zombie stuff. They're like, oh, I watched
It was-
The Walking Dead.
When it came out, we didn't have HBO, and so I was listening to my coworkers like talk about it, and they're like, "Oh, episode 3, I cried so much." I'm like, "Okay."
What happened?
Did what happened? And she's like, "Oh, I can't tell you. I'll spoil it." I'm like, "Well, I
Maybe
did
play
play
the
the
source
game."
material.
Trust me, I don't think there's much you could spoil.
Yeah, there's one episode that's in the show that I don't think is ever in the game, even in DLCs. The backstory of whatever that guy's name is.
Yeah, that's
you
what
said that they
they
made,
changed.
like, a-
That's the biggest change that they made with I forget his name.
Paul, Chris, John.
Sam. So
There's some guy, but like that might have been actually episode 3, to be honest.
I think that was, yeah.
And it's a good episode. It was cool to see the backstory. But yeah, I remember I didn't play The Last of Us when it came out. I played it much later. And it's because I didn't have a PlayStation, so I couldn't have played it.
Yeah, I was lucky. My roommates had PlayStation, so I just rented Last of Us.
Yeah. But when I did play it, I shouldn't have played it on the hardest difficulty because it made get into the story
Why would you?
much slower. But it was still very much enjoyable, and like when you get through the story and all the story beats that happen, like you get super invested in it. You get invested in these characters. So it's just, it's a beautiful game. And I'm glad that we have games that are like that where, it makes you feel.
Yeah, like I was watching this interview with different indie developers at an expo, and each one of them we were just talking about how does the player feel when this happens. So like everyone's going into the psychology of the player,
Mhm.
and trying to get them to be like, well, should they be wary about turning a corner? Should they be excited that they've opened a new world? Like, all these different small mechanics of the game and story
Mhm.
affects the human psyche, and they're very conscious of that.
I think that would be a very important. That's a very important job of the writers and the musicians and the sound engineers to create that sense, that particular world in that small part. Like, how do we want them to feel at this particular moment? Because they're manipulating your emotions to feel a very particular way, because that's how they want you to feel for this part.
Because
Especially
if you're not feeling in a video game, then you're bored.
yeah.
Yeah. So you gotta feel some kind of way.
Also,
But
shout out to voice actors when they have good voice actors in a video game.
Mhm.
Can also enhance the story.
yeah,
I'll say,
yeah. The acting in The Last of Us, like the mocap and everything, like
Mhm.
it's
It's gorgeous.
so beautiful. Like, it's a one-to-one thing.
I'll say the voice acting. I'll just go back to Halo. They have exceptional voice actors with the second game in particular. Most with like the Covenant side, because like the human side is mostly just hoorah.
Hoorah!
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
That's just basically all the human side is.
Yeah.
The Covenant side is more political intrigue and like going through and dealing with like heavy internal conflict, and the voice actors are able to really convey that, especially with the Arbiter and the Shipmaster and the Prophets. Like they do an exceptional job of that.
Mm-hmm.
In God of War, they do an exceptional job with the voice acting.
Yeah.
Forbidden West, or just Horizon, it's okay. I wouldn't say it's anything exceptional.
Yeah, I can't talk on that one. So I have like 2 hours of.
I can. Dragon Age. Inquisition.
I meant on Horizon. I could talk about
Oh.
voice acting for sure. But yeah.
I thought you were gonna say for like your favorite games. I'm like, yeah, because no one talks in your favorite games.
Well, I also had that thought go through my head. I'm like, yeah, the first 2 games, no one talks.
Fair.
Well, actually, no, that's a lie. There's voice acting in Breath of the
Uh-huh.
Wild and Tears of the Kingdom,
Yeah.
but it's not the
It's not a
best voice
focal
acting.
point.
Yeah.
Well, we still, I think it showcases just how good the game is, where it doesn't really need any dialogue for it to be
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah. But
Um,
Dragon Age.
Dragon Age Inquisition. Speaking about choices. So when you were talking earlier about like if you do this it blocks you from doing this, and I'm like, well, that is definitely a Dragon Age mechanic. If you make a particular decision, for everything, all of the game, every single game, it's either this or that, this or that, this or that, this or that. And having particular, like that one's all about your consequences, making incredible big world consequences. Your decisions making really big world consequences. That one is another one for me that I get very I like steeping myself in the lore of that one. There are so many different countries, so like each of them has and they're kind of based on like real world countries. So that's really, really interesting. There's religion in there, and you can also see that that's based on some real world religions. The races, there's actual racism. There's real racism between different races. There's the race of humans, and it's really kind of funny thinking about it. Like, even though there are other races to be racist about, the race of humans, they're still dickheads about people in other countries. It's like, really? You really? So Dragon Age Inquisition is about, again, consequences. It's the consequence of the the game that came before it, Dragon Age 2. Dragon Age 2 can kind of stand alone in the series. It happens somewhat adjacently to Origins. Origins takes about a year. Dragon Age 2 takes 2 years. Sorry, not 2 years, sorry, 10 years. And in the very first year, you don't really know much about it, but like effectively what happened in Origins, they discuss it in 2. And then they have BioWare has a really interesting mechanic. I don't know that it was for every single game. I only know, yeah, I think it was for every single game. Because 2, you can make these changes and these decisions. But the game evolves based on what you did in the prior game. Have you ever played? No? Okay. You're like nodding like, hey, yeah, I know.
I'm just acknowledging.
Okay, yeah.
That you're talking.
So before going into Dragon Age Inquisition, they have something called the Keep on the computer. You can go and like update it and say what was the race of your Origins character, what was their background, who did they romance, what were decisions made in that game, because who ends up as the ruler in that game is going to affect who's the ruler is in Inquisition that shows
A lot
up.
of games like that.
Yeah.
That's
That's
two
what- it all
fucking
affects
games later.
Each other.
You know, who is going to show up for this part of the game, this really important part of the game. What decision is going to be made here? What is this? What like, ooh. So you can see the consequences of Origins in Inquisition. And then the same thing with Dragon Age 2. You play one particular character, Hawk. You either play as a male Hawk or female Hawk. What your classification is changes a sibling who dies. There's 3 siblings. One of them dies in the intro. You're an evacuee. In Origins, there's a sort of plague that happens that creates like these really awful demon like things. It's kind of like zombies, sort of. So Origins is about stopping that one. 2 is about a family and like this particular city, this state, and what events happened there, because those events changed the world. Like it affected the world very greatly. And then Inquisition is dealing with the aftermath of what happened in Kirkwall. And it's an investigation, essentially, if you will. There was the intro starts with your character coming out of what is like called the veil. No, not the veil. Oh my gosh, I forgot what it's kind of like a demon realm, sort of, or a spirit realm. Your character comes out of that, and that changes how people see you. They think that, what are you? You're not supposed to be able to visit that in the physical form and come out okay.
Understandable.
In
It's like seeing somebody walk into fire and just walk out. It's like,
in this game, most high fantasy games, magic is this is the high sophisticated, really intelligent, like, kind of thing. Not so much in Thedas. Magic is seen more as like, ooh, you don't really want to have magic in your family because people treat you differently. Like it shows how dangerous magic really can be. It's also not a thing that you can just learn. It is a bloodline thing. Like, you have to have magic in your family somewhere, somehow. And yeah, it can like skip or whatever. They have these things called the circles, which is where they take magic users, known magic users, and train them. And it feels like, oh, it's good because it's for their safety and the general people's safety, because their own magic can turn on them and it can be disastrous. So it's like, to an extent, and that is what I think its original purpose was. It's just that it's also connected to a religious group, the Chantry, which is kind of like Christianity, Catholicism. It kind of wrapped all up in one in this game. And so like there's definitely like so much religious undertone to it. The Inquisition is effectively a religious investigation group. Kind of, but you, the character, can make decisions on what are your goals for the Inquisition. How do you view yourself? Do you view yourself as like a spoken one, like the one that speaks for a particular entity? Do you see yourself as holy? Do you like, or are you just, no, I don't believe in gods? Which is honestly like the most like rawest, realist take that you can have, like for having all of this power, like that you have political power, but you are also just a powerful character, and there's a particular thing that only you really are the chosen one, but because of circumstances, sort of, in a kind of everyone died and you're the only
Circumstantial
one.
one.
Yeah, everyone died and you're the only one that made it out, and someone saved you. And that's when you walk the fade, and you walked out of the fade. That's what they call like this like kind of spirit realm. And then the new one, Dreadwolf, Dragon Age Dreadwolf. I think we're gonna get more information about that, or an announcement
I
like
thought it was
next
like
year.
out already. I'm like,
No! If it was out already, do you think we would be having this? I'd be like, you can't come over. I'm playing Dragon Age right now. We can't be doing this. Oh my gosh, I've been waiting for that so much.
Because that's what messaged me with like platforms these are on. Because I'm gonna forget if you tell me. But
Xbox.
Dragon Age. Oh,
You
okay.
can play it on Xbox.
And
every single game you
Undertale.
said,
Undertale's on every
it's
platform.
on everything. So, if it's
Phone.
easier on your
phone, your computer.
is it on the phone now? It's on iOS?
I don't know. I
or
suppose so.
Android? I guess it's definitely on Android.
You said every platform. I'm assuming that meant.
Every gaming platform.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't think it would be very difficult to play on your phone.
No. Well, there's like a mouse element or like a joystick element. Yeah, you can do it. I hate the feeling of this on a phone.
Sure.
Like it messes with like my thumbnail too. Like I'm putting a lot of like
A little longer, Undertale.
it's a few hours.
Just a few hours.
I'd say like 10 hours if you're really taking your time. But like
Sure.
I think average. I'm trying to think. I think it's like 5 hours.
Oh,
5,
maybe
6
it's
hour game.
chill, but cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Outer Wilds on the Xbox. I think it's on Steam too, but it's on Xbox. And
Added to the list. The Dragon Age sounds really interesting. Same with Outer Wilds.
You like getting into like politics and the lore of
Mhm.
shit, and Origins, even though it is an older game, it's still like playable. Just it's an older game, so it's gonna have older mechanics. You're gonna be like, ugh, this fighting, but the story and the characters,
Yeah, I would say like I love Halo.
the
But-
characters.
Halo 2, Arbiter's story, the most interesting part of it. Game of Thrones, political intrigue.
Romance. All of the games have romance.
Is it forced?
No, you don't
But that
have to
goodness.
choose anyone if you don't want to. They may flirt with you. I think there's one character in 2, like, no matter what you do is gonna flirt with you, and you can just go like,
Fine.
Absolutely no romance is forced, but there's probably gonna be characters that you're gonna be like,
I love you. Please marry me.
you're such a dumb big man.
you know, so like how I found out about, I learned about Inquisition first. I saw like the trailers and stuff for it, and I was like, that's so fucking cool. Oh, there's already other games for it? Okay, I'm gonna play the other games. So I played, so Dragon Age 2 was my first one. So I didn't even, like, it's also easy too. It's easy to learn the lore. Same thing with, I don't think Inquisition is that easy to learn the lore, but I don't think it's that easy to just go into it personally, because it's dealing with the prior implications of 2. You could skip Origins, but honestly, it's really fun. The story is very fun. The characters are really, really fun. They're really interesting. I think there's like really, really I think there's like everyone's favorite, what are they called? Quests, missions that just like, they're so good. The banter, there's party banter, so it's a party game. You're gonna have a group of people. So you have companions, and then you have time to talk with them, like at camps and stuff. Everyone has their own missions, their own quest to like get to know them or to help them. You don't even have to like, it doesn't even have to be for romance options, and they're very, very interesting. What you do in the missions that don't necessarily have to do with them will determine how much they like you. Like, oh, you sided with mages, these people will like it, these people will not like it, and that can affect your relationship with them. You of course can skirt around that by not taking someone on a mission or helping them in their mission, but if you do something or say something, party members can actually leave. They can leave the game. They can no longer be your party members. I think in all of them. In 2, if you do a particular route and you make these particular choices with one character, you're gonna have to kill them at the end of the game.
You find out they like pineapple on pizza.
Exactly.
Oh, I definitely don't like pineapple on pizza.
Got to go.
So the sole reason, one of the reasons that I got into it, that like what drew me to it, like besides the high fantasy, I fucking love high fantasy, was that it's a queer game. Like, you can be queer, you can have queer choices in the game, and that's like, what? That's fucking crazy. How many fucking games have that? So I went into it like to see all the romance choices, and I'm like, Dragon Age 2, because I have to play that one before Inquisition, and I want to play it before getting into it. I see all the people, and then I'm like, Isabella. Me and you, Isabella. I don't like Isabella much. I later learned. I'm like, we are different people, which is fine. I think I did a route where I did romance her or whatever. And then somebody else came out from left field, and I'm like, oh no, it's you. I need you. And the same thing happened to me with Origins. I knew all of the characters. I had already met them. I had already seen like people talk about them. I already knew the characters. And so I go in with a particular character, like, it's gonna be me and you, babe, and then this character comes up, and I'm like, oh no, I have to romance you. I'm like, no, I don't want to. If you wanted to know who that was Alistair. I did not. He came out of left field for me. I'm like,
I'm in this relationship, and then there's you over here.
I know. I'm like, I
know this is a video game, please.
I am trying to get with Liliana, and you just have to come over here with your golden retriever energy.
Stop being adorable.
Yeah.
Stop being fucking adorable. That being said, like, you can see like the different people that I mean. Like, I'm clearly interested in a wide range of people, because in 2, for me, I was like, I'm gonna go with Isabella, and she's like a bad girl or whatever. She's just like, consequences.
That was nice. Oh
What
my
are
gosh.
those? Yeah, snap.
I almost snapped, but I have a cut on my finger, and I'm glad I didn't. I would have been in so much pain.
And then I'm like, I don't know, we're not really vibing. And then Fenris, and I'm like, oh no,
That's a
he's
dope
all
name, to be honest.
broody. I need him.
I can fix him. I can make him happy.
I can be who you need or whatever. And it's really funny
I'm
because
sad.
I normally play he has a real reason though.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
slavery and everything.
Oh. Okay.
That'll do it.
Yes, heavy themes in Dragon Age. Very heavy themes.
I'm dealing with the consequences of other people's actions.
Yeah. And so like Fenris is kind of interesting because it's kind of like a forbidden romance a little bit, because I am a mage and he hates fucking mages.
But I'm gonna be the exception.
But I'm gonna be the fucking exception, and
Yeah.
I was.
I'm not like other mages.
I'm not like other mages. And then really, he's like, you are a magic user. Like, and you can see the debates happening with like another character, and this character's like, so you know fucking like magic or whatever, you're gonna like fucking kill me, and he's like, yeah, I could kill you if you did shit, I'll fucking kill you. And then they're like, but you don't do that to Hawk, and he's like, Hawk's different. And I'm just like, and I'm like, I'm literally right fucking here.
You're just doing. I'm literally like.
The banter is so fucking good. It's so good. It like kind of gets better in Inquisition, even better in Inquisition. There's a lot of characters. I have like my family group of people. Varric is a character that he plays prominently in 2. He comes back. Great, solid character. Fucking love him. Cole, he's my son. He's my little ghost son. Nobody fucking look at him. Nobody fucking hurt Cole. Cole fucking dies. I'm gonna kill everybody in this room and then me. That's how I feel. And I think Cole feels the same way about me.
Sure.
He's like,
Sure.
if anything happened, I'm gonna kill everyone and then myself. Cause we just be like that. Cole, Varric, Cassandra. I fucking love Cassandra. She is unfortunately straight, so can't. But I did the way that I loved her so. She wouldn't, but she does let me flirt with her, and she's like, okay, a little bit. But she is straight, so I like how much I fucking loved her. I played a man for her.
They had a penis.
I had a penis.
Dick and balls.
I felt like I was walking like this
I did make the most. I did make a twink though. I did make an elf twink because I'm like, forbidden romance. I'm really into the forbidden, like, we can't be together because I'm a Dalish elf and she's in the chantry. And I'm also a mage, and she's supposed to lock me up.
Lock me up.
But it's going back to like the filling in the gaps in the game with your own imagination.
Yeah. And
with
it's
the beautiful writing.
and you
of the
really don't even
characters.
have to so much because they do a good job. They do discuss particular points. My husband Colin, who's really.
You said so many names too. Like how many relationships?
We are all
one
married.
person.
We are all dating.
We've all become.
You can't date Cole, and I would never.
Well, yeah. He's a child.
He's
in
not.
mind.
He's not.
Oh.
He's not a child in mind.
It's a frat boy name.
That is a frat boy name.
He's not. He's my son.
I think of Coltrane from
He's
Gears of
mine
War.
and Barrick's.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
mine and Barrick's adopted son. Okay, we have joint custody over him.
Okay, Cole's not a frat boy.
He's not. He's baby boy. My husband Colin Rutherford. Very difficult to not romance him every single fucking time because fucking golden retriever. He's just a little lovesick puppy. But anyway, if he plays a mage, he was a Templar. He's an ex-Templar. Templars were the ones that were in control of, like, they made sure that mages didn't get out of control. They were created for everyone's safety, and depending on like what circle you were in, they could be really abusive. But people
This is
said
for
like
your own good.
people have gone like, well, my circle was really good, so I don't have an issue with the Templars, and it gets into like a
Don't commit any crimes and you won't go to jail.
yeah. Like there is some really real world like parallels that you can see. Like, well, I don't have an issue with the police. They were, you know what I mean? It could really depend. It's really. I think you'd really like the series. And so like you can discuss with him like, well, I'm a mage. Does that make you uncomfortable? And he'll go like, oh no, I guess no. Does it feel weird for you? I guess I never really thought about that. Which is kind of like a really sweet sentiment that like he cares about you so much he didn't even consider like your magic, your mage, and I'm just like, I love that.
He's
so
one of
much.
the good mages.
No, Templars.
No, I'm saying like the Templar
Oh,
is the
like-
mage is one of the good mages. How like some people view some black people
Oh.
as, oh, you're one of the good black people. You're not
Oh.
the same.
Oh.
And you can and you can see that he really, really has a change of heart. He changes. He has a different viewpoint. Cullen was also someone that was in the other two games. He's kind of briefly in Origins. Yeah, he's kind of briefly in Origins, and he's not very prominent in 2, but he saw horrors in Origin. And then he saw the same shit in 2, and so here he is in 3. He just has PTSD by this fucking point. He's barely in his early 30s. This man did not deserve the shit that he has. And also, the choices that you make can really change him within the game. You can do something that helps with, like, addiction is a really heavy theme that they discuss in the video game, and you can help him through that. And it will change your relationship, but it also changes your relationship as he's the commander of your forces, so he's one of your advisors, and that changes the course of his life when you reach like the absolute complete end of the video game, with like one of the DLCs that are included. But yeah, it's so fucking good. The characters, the voice acting, the stories, I adore it so much. I love the characters. Dorian! I think Dorian's probably a lot of people's like really loved character. He's a mage. He's really, really important.
I was gonna say, we gotta get you to play Baldur's Gate at some point. So I'm interested in the game.
I'm interested. You'll just watch me play it?
I'll watch you play it, and then I'll maybe get into it myself.
I really would love to watch you go through like Origins and go through it, because I think Dragon Age is another game that's like really, really important to me. It's another one that I considered having a tattoo of. I wanted to have a tarot tattoo of my Inquisitor on like my arm or something. My main Inquisitor, like the one I consider my canon. All the other ones are canon divergent in my head. If I was a dwarf, if I was a warrior, if I went with this person. I think my canon person is an elf mage that married Cullen.
It's interesting how this is kind of sort of relevant. How the word inquisitor has very different meanings depending on the context.
They are essentially, so like the Spanish Inquisition, it was about rooting out like witchcraft and stuff like that, right? So and getting to the source of it, I think Dragon Age Inquisition, it's another, again, holy establishment. The chant.
I'm also not sure what the Spanish Inquisition was about, but I know it wasn't good. Sorry, keep going.
It was about like.
It was colonization.
Yeah, it's also
in
like
space.
colonization and shit like that.
Wasn't that? Oh, what's it called? No, that's something different. Never mind, keep going. Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
thinking of like
Colony.
conquistadors or something?
Yes. For the love of God, yes. Thank you.
Conquistadores are something different. They were the first ones that found like gold in
Spanish Inquisition? Yeah, okay.
yeah, they're different from the Spanish Inquisition. The Spanish Inquisition was absolutely like about religion. So in Dragon Age Inquisition, it is a religious establishment in that the two characters that help you form it are from the Chantry. Like the Chantry is doing an investigation, but it's an inquisition in the most like basic of sense of an event has occurred. How did that event occur? And then in 2, another event has occurred. How did that? And we're going to get to the bottom of it.
So it's just detective work.
Yes, and it's
Just without the
and
bigotry.
establishing and you.
Just with less bigotry.
I think it really depends on how your character plays. I don't think that you can make outright like
Spectrum of
racist.
bigotry.
I don't think you can make like outright like racist or awful things about a particular character's like race or anything. But there's definitely the question of like atheism that comes up. There's also the question of your depending on your background, so like a Dalish elf, you as a Dalish elf have different gods. So when a characters ask you, are you so like for example, your character is called the Herald of Andraste. It's another word that you can go, another name that you can go up by before you become Inquisitor. Some people still call you Herald. They'll ask you, did you really see Andraste in the Fade? And then your character can go, or do you really think that you're guided by the Maker? And you can go, I think I am, or no. I make my own decisions. My fate is in my own hands. Or you can go, well, I have different beliefs. I'm assuming that if you're a dwarf, you could probably say stuff like, I didn't play enough as a dwarf, but I'm assuming you could say stuff like, no, I'm a child of the stone. Like I believe in like the ideas that they have. And if you play as Kunari, I assume you can also discuss the Qun there, but your character as a Kunari, you're kind of outside of the Qun, and the Qun is like akin to communism. It's really, really interesting that like political factions are also like have a fantasy version in this game. It's really, really, really interesting. And then some people I've noticed, some characters have very particular accents. I've noticed that a lot of elves have Irish accents, and I think that was a very important move done by the creators, or Welsh accents, I think, because also like the Irish and the Welsh, they were colonized by I almost said the Chantry, by England.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also what happens in the game. Like the elves came before humans. They had great civilizations, they had magic, they could live for so much longer, and then something happened and humans kind of conquered them. They're also, you can see their struggles in Native Americans and how they are now like nomadic. Their lands are completely destroyed. Their architecture, their buildings, they're just ruins. They don't even know the language anymore. Like they struggle with their own history, and so like that resonates so much with me with being like an indigenous with an indigenous ancestry, Mexican indigenous ancestry, and how we don't like we know our language, but we don't know that it's our language. We think Spanish is our language, but it's not. It's the language of the colonizers, and they murdered us into assimilation. Like that, there's only so many indigenous groups that we know of that survived. Like we know of the Aztecs, we know of the Incans, we know of the Mayans, but there's more
Yeah.
than that. There's so many more, and we don't really know. We don't really have information on them because they destroyed it. And so like that, like of course I'm gonna fucking play an elf in a game that like discusses like really, really difficult topics of like colonialism and the destruction of like your society and your people. Like that's fucking crazy that I can play someone like me in a video game like that. That's just like insane.
Yeah.
And so like there's a lot of like in my head canon, my character discusses that a lot with like her group that she has with her partner who is a human, and what that like means to her. I think that's just like really, really interesting.
Colonial. Why can't I say this word?
Colonialism.
Colonialism, but with magic.
But with magic. Religious trauma, but with magic.
See you, BFI.
Colin.
Cullen. Exactly. Yes, I into it before Dreadwolf comes out, because
I love that name so much.
Dreadwolf is you're
It's
gonna
such a
have
cool name.
you're gonna have some feelings about that later. Let's say that. It's like, of course it's gonna be called Dread. I think all of us went like, oh, you. You should definitely
Damn it.
look at the other ones, because Dreadwolf is in direct relation to Inquisition.
Alrighty, I shall
So don't
download
look at it.
Play it.
Don't look at it. Don't look at any trailers for it. Don't anything, because the trailers are they're for us. They're for the community
Live my
that
life
played
the way
it.
I've been living.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't change except play the game.
Yes, play
Don't
those
look at
games.
anything about the game.
Cool, cool.
Yeah, play the other games if you want, but the Dreadwolf one is definitely on a time limit. If you want to play it when it releases, whenever it releases.
Now I wanna be able to play the other games prior to it to have a better understanding of it. And the other games do sound really interesting the way you described it.
They're
And like,
beautiful.
you know,
It's like she's laying down and sitting at the same time.
Is she throwing herself against your arm?
Yeah.
Yeah. Aw,
yeah, well, this is about. We've been going on for a long time,
Okay,
so
yeah, I think it's a good time.
we like
Good-
video games.
I love
yes,
video games.
we can honestly talk
Play
about it
video
all the
games.
time.
Yeah.
Like, all the mechanics of video games are just interesting.
I would say that for people that think that video games are
Childish.
lame or childish or like
Ugh.
just
A waste
go
of time,
outside,
yeah.
like it's a hobby just like any other hobby. People will get into it.
An
Yeah.
interest.
And like there's video games, like you said, it's like a story you can immerse yourself in and you have some control over, especially if it's an open world and your decisions affect how the game will end. So I mean, there's a reason why video games are popular.
Yeah, well, and like too much of anything is a bad thing. So everything within reason, you know. So like, I understand if you're playing way too much video games, you're not doing what you actually need to be doing.
Now, obviously, like take care of your kid
Yeah.
before you play a video game, but
Yeah,
you know I don't think that's that's the issue. Unless if you have that issue, please take care of your kid before you play your video games.
yeah. Just, yeah, video games make you feel.
Yeah.
Just like a movie, just like a book.
When I play Skyrim and I realize I have to eat, I just kind of look at a pie in the game and I go, I feel better now. And then I keep playing.
Please eat.
So I don't take care of myself while I play video games.
It's just like, wow, that looks like a delicious
That
cake.
looks so good.
Ah.
Anyway, I feel
At least
better.
my character's
Yeah.
not hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
There's
eat in the game and then I feel better and then I forget that I'm hungry. But
Yeah.
that's on ADHD.
So yes, we'll talk about. We can talk about this again, but we'll have another topic next time. Have a lot of editing to do. But yeah, thanks for watching.
Bye bye.